No one really cares about what kind of foundation you have in your home, whatever plumbing system you have, the wiring, and things like that. When your house is all done, no one really cares about stuff like that. In fact, most people typically focus on the finishes, especially the interiors. While many diasporans building in the village do not involve interior designers, interior deco guys, I know for a fact that choosing to pay for these services can really save you a lot and really pays off down the road. So today, I want to share with you what we do with our clients when it comes to interior design. So first, feast your eyes on sample works that have been done by our interior designers. And these are just 3D renders that we produce in collaboration with our clients right before our fundis get to work to execute what has been developed. There are many of our clients who do not have the opportunity to develop 3D renders and things like that with our designers, but these are just examples of some of the recent projects that we are currently working on with different clients, because not everybody is skilled enough to put all this together without an expert. So those who are willing to involve experts, these are examples of what we've done. And this is very helpful usually when it comes to things like flooring, all the woodworks in the house, from the living room to the kitchen to the bathrooms, lighting, gypsum, paintwork, interior doors, and many other fittings within the house. And so this is where our experts interiors come in to give us a sense of what we can do with a space, big or small, whether we are starting from scratch from a new build or we're simply doing renovation. So if you need support with things like that, again, feel free to reach out to me using my number that I post in the channel. We'd be more than happy to listen to your story and connect with the right folks. So for today, as I said, I'll share with you some of the clips that I've done, but I'm also going to do a mix of what we did for the day. My kids and I went to Kisumu, to Mega City Mall to pick up a few things, and it was largely a chill day. So after we picked up a few things from the supermarket, we later on came back to Karateng, which is a village in Western Kenya. For those who are joining us for the first time, Karateng is where we live, but we also spend time in Long Beach, California. So we go back and forth. So today, join us and let's share some of the nuggets that I've picked up around interior design. Again, remember, interior design and interior deco are two different things. Sometimes people confuse the two, but those are two different things, often related. So if you want to know more about the distinction, this is where Dr. Google comes in. You can look it up. So anyhow, in an ideal setting, it's often recommended that you involve the interior designers and decos right from the beginning when your house is being put together by your architectural team. So that is best case scenario. They are involved from step one all the way till it's done. Now, unfortunately, many of us, myself included, either at the time we start building don't know enough about how critical these folks are, or in some cases, our budgets just don't allow for the inclusion of all these folks. In fact, the average person that I've seen out there may not even know what to ask for when they're talking with architects. They simply say, okay, I need a house, and they have a description, and they say, help me put it together. And they may not know the details as to what they're asking for. But those who know enough will typically ask for three things. One, they'll ask for architectural works. Second, they'll ask for structural works, and perhaps maybe 3D renders. Now, worst case scenario, I've seen people who just take designs from a house given to them by their fundis. And then by the time they figure out that what they're given is not what they want, the house is already up to the roof. That comes with a serious headache. So if you're talking to an architect somewhere, I ask, at a bare minimum, ask for those three: architectural work, structural works, and 3D renders. They could do a whole lot more, again, depending on your budget and depending on who you work with. And their prices can be very wild. I've seen prices as low as under 100,000, but as high as 1.2 million just for the drawing part. So same thing with interior designers and decos. You'll see a range of prices. And this is one of the reasons where most of us are scared to involve these folks earlier on, because at that point, you're really focusing on saving money so you can spend where it counts. So anyway, like I say, for those of us who choose not to use professionals, the primary option that I see all of us do, myself included, is we then, of course, go to YouTube or other social media platforms like Pinterest, Instagram, all of this other social media works where the people post a lot of really good ideas out there. And that's fine because in many cases it works just okay for the average person. But in many, many other cases, this option does not work because when you take pieces of ideas from different houses, you bring them to your house, it does not necessarily mean that those ideas are going to gel together. Because oftentimes what you have at home in terms of the space, the shape, and all that is often going to be different than what you've seen on social media. So translating social media into the house can be a challenge in that sense, but then getting your fundis to also take the picture you've given them to the ground can be very challenging. So it's okay to rely on social media, that's what most of us do, but that comes with its limitations. But I suspect the reason we do this is that I'm saying the reason this social media option does not work for all of us is that, for one, the average person out there, at least in my experience, really does not have the natural talent for interior design. I have people in my life who never went to school at all when it comes to interior design, but they can walk into a room, put things together, and it is so beautiful that you're just amazed. Some people just have a natural talent for doing interior design or interior deco. I see a lot of that. So with the additional training, then they become really excellent. And also, the average person does not have a very good sense of symmetry, color coordination, and fashion. And we all have those kinds of problems. So what I see is that you walk into a house, you see something beautiful, you go buy it, install it. You do the same with the next set of items. When you put all these things together into one house, then it's all chaotic, even though individually, each of those items really look well. For example, you can buy a chandelier, and then maybe you buy a certain type of a window. You buy maybe a certain table. When you put them all together, things are just all over the place because you and I may not have that natural sense of symmetry, color coordination, and fashion. And so for the most part, most of us can just look and tell whether something is good or bad, but we don't know why. And that is where the lack of expertise really works against us. Now, so all I say is that if at all your budget is tight to the point where you are not able to hire an interior deco guy, it's okay to wing it using social media, but just walk into it knowing that there will be limitations. So I'll share with you some nuggets that can help in the case where you are not able to hire a professional to help. Because like I can tell you, I've worked with interior deco guys or interior designers for some time. I know for sure that it is true that interior designers can be expensive. In fact, I've heard cases where some of them will charge you anywhere between $50,000 to $100,000 just for the site visit. One time I actually called one of these popular guys on YouTube, and they told me I was going to pay them about $80,000, on top of which I was going to pay for their tickets from Nairobi to Kisumu, and then figure out how they would get from the airport. So, I mean, it was just astronomical. So I was like, just let that go. I'm going to figure it out on my own. So I know they can be expensive. But thankfully, recently, I've actually found two young folks who are very moderately priced. In fact, all of the projects they've done often cost below $100,000. And that is basically everything. That is site visits, preliminary sketches, the video and PDF 3Ds, the designs, the working drawings, all of that combined. They often charge under $100,000, which is very rare, at least in the field. The one thing that I love with these young men is that they're also very flexible. They are very client oriented, and they will do the best they can to get to what the client is looking for. So anyway, so if you don't have the benefit of working with these folks, I would say that certainly every homeowner can benefit from any professional who is qualified and know what they're doing. But if you don't have access to those, like I would say, because most of us are not lucky enough to have these people straight down, here are some things that, some tips that you can use that will help you design your interiors. Number one, I always recommend, if at all possible, at the design stage, it's okay to model your home alongside some existing homes. And I often give my clients a ton of links that are very beautiful homes. So if you have a home that you're using to model your house, it makes it easy for you to figure out where things are going to be finally with the interiors. And then number two, I say that when you're now putting things together with your fundi, use creative features like cabinets to hide dead spaces or things that you don't want people seeing. For example, underneath our stairs, we did some beautiful cabinetry, which is allowing us to put like solar batteries and things like that. It's also storage for shoes, but it's covered in such a way that it looks very nice. So you can use cabinetry creatively to cover dead spaces. And then on our staircase landing area on the first floor, there was another dead space which we just did like a wardrobe area. It was not meant to have a wardrobe, but we did it and it looks very beautiful. So you can creatively use those kinds of things to cover dead spaces. And then I always say that don't be afraid of dark colors. While you see, we love bright colors. At home, I've seen two extremes. One, too many colors in one house, or people like us where the whole house is white. But don't be afraid of dark colors, especially when you're doing accent walls. It'll work just fine when done properly. And then to make ceilings look higher, you can use taller furniture, especially those who have walls that are less than 2.9 meters high. You can use taller furniture. That helps counter the issue of shorter roofs. And then the other thing you can do too, I always say, be sure you know your deal breakers. Like I know all of my clients hate this disco gypsum type of design where there's multiple lights, different colors, all that. All of my folks hate it and we don't use it. So know your deal breakers and be very clear on it. So essentially what I'm saying is don't settle. The fundis locally will suggest many things that oftentimes end up being too busy. But I know many folks that are building in the village and live diaspora don't care for crowded spaces. So know your deal breakers and be very clear and be very firm on it so that they're not forcing you to do something you don't like. And then you can be very creative with plans that we put in the house. Very big plans look very nice. Again, when done properly, they would make your room really pop. And that can also help with the size of tiles. I always say with tiling, you want to go 60 by 60 or 60 by 120. Those big tiles really accentuate the size of the room and would make your room really pop. And in general, feel free to establish some sense of a color scheme. Personally, my preference is I don't want to go beyond 3 colors because after that, I'm lost. That's when I need a professional. Anything below 2 colors, I can work with that. And whenever possible, you can actually brighten some rooms using mirrored walls. But again, you have to be very careful because some of those mirrors look very ugly if not done properly. But mirrored walls can really help a room look bigger and look much nicer than a simple plain room with just wainscoting. Now, I also say that pay attention to scale and proportion. Think about the size of your windows. Think about the size of your couches in relation to the size of your table. So when you have a very big couch with a very small table, that sometimes can be tricky. So be very thoughtful about the scales and proportions of your windows, your furniture, and all the other fittings within a particular room. Because oversized furniture can really overwhelm a room, particularly when the room is really small. So again, if there are other tips out there that folks are using that we don't know, please share in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next. Thank you.